Welcome, everyone. This is the Forsyth County Democratic Party Forum for School Board Candidates. We do have with us school board candidates from District 1, District 2, and at large. My name is Jennifer Marshall, and I am the Forsyth County Democratic Party Chair, and I welcome you to learn more about these candidates and to make an informed decision when you cast your ballot in this election. We are going to start with an introduction with a question. Candidates will have 3 minutes to answer this question, and we are going to start with District 1 candidates. We're going to start with Tremonia Purvis, and I'm going to read the question for all. Please introduce yourself and tell me what prepares you to run for this seat. Tremonia.
Good evening, all. I am Tremonia Purvis, your school board candidate for District 1. And I want to say that I do not believe that our school system is broken. I believe our school system is breaking through. And with the right people on the board, people who are going to put our children first, our educators first, our community and families and staff first, I do know that breakthrough will happen. I bring over 34 years of teaching experience in the Winston-Salem-Forsyth County school system. I will retire this May. I have been in the trenches with my fellow teachers. I have had over 800 scholars to come into my classroom, and families and parents as well. I have been preparing to run for school board since 2023. When my daughter passed in 2021, I knew that there was something more that I was going to do. And the school board was placed, I would say, on my heart. This is not a political position for me. This is my purpose. I am qualified to run for the school board because I am running for the cause. And people say, well, why do you want to run in the midst of everything that's going on? Because in the midst of what is going on, that is where our breakthrough will be. I am running for our children. I want our children to go to school. I want our children to sit in their classrooms. I want them to receive an equitable education and be safe. I'm running for our parents and our families. I continue to say that it takes a village to raise our children, and our parents are the chief. My motto in my classroom is parents and families plus teachers working together does equal the success of our children. And I'm running for every educator, every employee for the Winston-Salem-Forsyth County school system. Those of us who have carried the mistakes and the weight of the systems on our backs. And I'm running for our community. I want businesses to come and plant their roots in Winston-Salem. I want families to move here and look up our schools and see those passing grades. I want people to make Winston-Salem their home. So that is why I decided to run, because I know that this is my purpose. I started my training in 2023 when I graduated from the boards and commissions program. And then I went to New Orleans to take the candidate training. So I asked, who is watching the children? I am Tremonia Purvis. And I know that this is the beginning for the breakthrough of the Winston-Salem-Forsyth County Schools. Vote Tremonia Purvis for School Board District 1. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tremonia. Sorry. Thank you, Tremonia. I think I was muted. Next, we have Alex Bohannon.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alex, and I'm running for re-election to the Winston-Salem-Forsyth County Board of Education. I'm running again for a simple reason. I don't want us to settle for a school system that's always reacting. I want us to be a district that plans well, communicates early, and delivers, especially for the students in schools that need the support the most. What I bring to this role is both practical experience and the temperament to lead in tough moments. In my day job, I am a senior certified human resources professional. That work is all about navigating complex systems, making high stakes decisions fairly, and also holding people accountable, including leadership, using clear standards. I'm used to reading policies and paying close attention to the details, weighing evidence, separating facts from assumptions, and making decisions that are consistent and defensible. That is the mindset that I will bring to board service, as I have done through the past 5 years serving on the board. As a sitting board member, I've also learned what it takes to govern responsibly, listening to the public, asking uncomfortable questions when necessary, and staying steady even when the politics get loud. I'm not interested in performative conflict or easy talking points. I'm interested in whether our decisions actually improve student outcomes, strengthen school culture, and use public dollars responsibly. If reelected, my priorities remain straightforward and measurable. First, academic achievement that's more than a slogan, clear goals, strong instructional support, and honest reporting on what's working and what's not. Second, safe and orderly schools where teachers can teach and students can learn, consistent expectations, meaningful interventions, and better coordination so problems don't get passed around until they become crises. Third, better retention and support for educators and staff. If we want stability and excellence in classrooms, we have to treat staff voices as essential and not optional, and make working conditions a serious part of our strategy. And fourth, operational excellence and real accountability, especially at the central office level. Schools should feel supported and not burdened. We need clearer ownership of results, stronger oversight of budgets and contracts, and communication that families can actually understand. Transparency isn't a bonus, it's the baseline. I'm running for re-election because I know this work, I'm prepared for it, and I'm committed to doing it the right way. Steady leadership, clear expectations, and real follow-through. I'd be honored to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next candidate is Travonia Brown Gaither.
Hi, I'm Travonia Brown Gaither, and I am seeking re-election for District 1 for the Board of Education. I come to you as a triple threat. I am a child of an educator with the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System. I actually graduated in the system, and I also worked for the system. I worked for 19 years, and I retired in 2021 as a highly qualified mathematics teacher in both middle school and high school. So I have that experience behind me and seeing what it's like working in the trenches. I still stand on the same platform that I stood on 3 years ago, and that is I would like a seat at the table, but now not only a seat at the table, but an active voice at the table. And SEAT stands for S, security, and safety for not only our students and staff members, but also all of them deserve to feel safe, supported, and protected at school, and this is what I will fight to ensure. E, equity. I will champion for equity in our classrooms and our schools, and I hope to get to talk a little bit more about that later. Advocacy. I will advocate for all students, teachers, and staff. And last, transparency. I will insist on complete transparency of the Board of Education, the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System, and staff. I also feel that one of the reasons I am prepared to run for this seat is that I have spent the last 3 years, and we need some consistency, some continuity on the board. For several years, we have had 3 to 4 different superintendents. We've had several chief financial officers. We've had a change of the board numerous times, and that has led to some of the problems that we have. And so one of the things, if we have some people who have been on the board, at least this past time, we can get some of that consistency. And I'm sorry, my dog has shook off something in the room. We can have some consistency and continuity. And then that will help us to take care of this financial deficit that we found ourselves in that has been on there since 2017 and really just came to light within the last year. So I ask for your vote in District 1. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next candidate is Daryl Napper.
Hi, my name is Daryl Napper, and I am running for School Board District 1. I am excited about this opportunity, have prepared myself for this opportunity. I want to say that I did not register to run until the very last day. I was once upset at the fact that I had got riffed, but I came back home and I prayed about it for several days, only to find out that they pushed me into my purpose into my next of what God wanted me to become. I am very qualified for the position simply because I spent 26 years in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system as a teacher, as a coach, as a mentor. I've been there for quite some time. I have a wife that works in the school system, have 4 kids that graduated from the system. I myself have graduated from the system from Carver High School, where I played quarterback, football, basketball, and ran track. Also, I started a mentoring program when I was working with the CARES team called CARES Beyond Coaching. Also, I spent time working with our early start, early childhood. I dealt with so many things in our community. I am a pastor for 26 years. I've also enjoyed my opportunity in celebrating the successes of our school system. Our school system has some great opportunities. We are excited about those opportunities. I'll run simply on the fact that we need us a solid superintendent. We need us a solid superintendent, which is one of our jobs as a school board member. We also need to have strong policies to support our budget. When you have a strong policy to support our budget, we don't only have dreams, we don't only have opportunities, but we also have an opportunity to advance in what we're doing. And so I ask for your vote. I ask for your vote to please vote me, Daryl Napper, for the next school board member in District 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate is Shanita Johnson. We can't hear you, Shanita. Do you need the question repeated?
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Can you hear me
There you
now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm sorry, my mic has done something. I am Chinita Johnson. I'm running as Chinita Barbara Johnson for District 1 for Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. And I've been in Winston-Salem for years. I'm a resident of Winston-Salem. I was born here. I went through the school systems. I've raised children in the school systems. I have been a substitute in our school systems here. I've been a tutor in history and in science. And I've also worked as a community advocate. I'm working with various committees within this city that are dealing with child poverty, housing, education, and basically empowerment for the community. So I've worked on all of these committees. I understand what's going on in our school systems. I've been in the system as far as a PTA president, and we fundraised. My issues are that our students are not receiving what they are supposed to receive out of our school systems, and that's why I'm running. We have had this great financial fall in our system, but it was coming. It was not a surprise when it happened. It's been coming since 2017. And it was not checked on. There were no audits. They just continued to pile on and pile on. And then after COVID, everything just fell. The bottom fell out. Beyond our classrooms, I have worked with Experiment in Self-Reliance. And Experiment in Self-Reliance, I was elected by my community to be a member on their board of directors, but I'm also a member of the committee concerning finance and concerning HR and in marketing and development. And I think the fact also, I graduated from Winston-Salem State University with political science and public administration as a major with a minor in history. But I think that because I am with these committees in the city, that we have worked with Coalition for Equity in Education, that this makes me a more well-rounded candidate for the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School Board, because we have to understand the policies, we have to understand the legislative issues that are causing some of the issues in our local school board as well. So we need to understand all of the things that are happening here, and I think that I have that perfect understanding with it, and that will help me to become a very good school board member, and that I will be able to help to at least help some of these financial issues that have occurred here in Winston-Salem and Forsyth County.
Thank you so much. Our next candidate that we'll be introducing is from District 2, Kurt Fentress.
Hi, everyone. And thank you to Jenny and the Forsyth Democrats for hosting this forum. My name is Kurt Fentress, and I'm running for District 2 for the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools Board of Education to ensure that every child in our district has the best possible educational experience that they can have in our district. I was raised in Winston-Salem, the son of a Forsyth Tech administrator, the grandson of a second grade teacher. I went to elementary, middle, and high school in our district, graduating from Mount Tabor High School in 2003. After graduating from Haverford College, a liberal arts college in Pennsylvania, I spent a year working in presidential politics as an organizer during the 2008 New Hampshire presidential primary, where we were successful in moving the party platform to the left on issues like economic justice, education reform, and healthcare for all. In 2012, I graduated from UNC Keenan Flagler Business School in Chapel Hill with a master's in business administration. And since 2012, I've been employed by Ecolab Incorporated, which is a Fortune 500 global company, the world leader in hygiene and infection prevention solutions and services, where I presently hold general management and financial responsibility for a $1 billion division. In 2024, I'm proud to say I was one of 3 Democratic candidates running for Forsyth County Board of Commissioners in District B, where I was within less than 2% of flipping that seat that had never been held by a Democrat. I look forward to doing just that here in District 2 on the board, flipping a Republican seat currently held by 4 Republicans. In the community, I'm a volunteer with North Carolina Youth Fusion Soccer, business mentor with Winston Starts, a member of St. Paul's Episcopal Church. Mostly, I'm a husband and father to 3 young children, all of whom will go to school in the district. I have 2 in now, one who starts kindergarten in August. And I'm proud to send them to the same public school system that I attended. I think with a new generation of leadership ready to exercise the oversight and management functions, really, that's critically important here, is we need folks who can exercise the oversight required to hire and fire the right superintendent, to have the financial acumen to understand, not just that we want more resources for schools, but are we using the right amount of resources properly against the right priorities that our community and superintendent administration and teachers set. I think I can do that and really build back the confidence of teachers, of families, and of the community at large. Lastly, I'm running together as a slate with Lee Childress, Susan Conway, and Steve Fulmer in District 2. We're proud to be running as a team to represent us and win back some of these seats for the Democrats in District 2. Thank you for your support.
I'm having tech problems. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? I'm having a little bit of an issue. I'm going to see if I can plug a mouse in to see if my cursor will. I cannot get it to. But while I'm working on that, we are going to go to the at-large candidates. Rhonda Mays.
Hello, everyone. I am Rhonda Mays. I'm a candidate for Board of Education at large. I am a longtime educator here in Forsyth County. I worked in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School District for almost 24 years in various roles, such as school social worker, lead graduation coach, as well as director of family engagement. I am running because I believe that every child deserves an education that is fully funded with the resources and the people necessary for them to reach their full potential. I have advocated for just that for many years in the county, in the state, as well as on a national level. I've been advocating for school funding, and I attend the school board meetings and county commissioner board meetings, and have gone to Raleigh to speak with our legislators. I write letters. I am a champion of public education. And I feel that all of our children, regardless of where they live, regardless of where the school is located, they should have a quality education. And I will speak up and act upon that to make certain that that happens. I am a team player. I have served on many boards here in the community, and I have been a part of different civic organizations as well. And even in those civic organizations, one of the issues that I always wind up on is a committee working on education. So education is something that is near and dear to my heart. My children graduated from the Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system, and they both went on to receive their bachelor's degrees. I know that this is a quality district, and we just need to get back to that point. We need to restore the belief in the district. We need to have the morale and the trust to be reinstalled here. We need to make certain that people feel safe, not just physically safe, but emotionally safe, psychologically safe, as well as environmentally safe. That they know that when they walk in the buildings, that the buildings are a safe environment for them to be in overall. I am Rhonda Mays, and I am running to be on the school board here for the at-large seat. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are going to go to Elizabeth Motsinger.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Motsinger, and as many of you probably know, I served on our school board from 2006 till 2022, when I stepped back to take care of my husband, John, who unfortunately died fairly soon thereafter. And when I left the school board, I left it in who I hoped would be very, very capable hands. And I think that the last couple of years have been very hard on our district. That doesn't mean that all the school board members were bad school board members. And one of the things I want to say absolutely is listening to each one of you speak. My heart is really touched by what good people you are and what your intentions are for our district. And so we're not going to go wrong with any of you being elected. I want to be really clear about that you are good people who are running, all for good reasons. My concern at the deepest level is that trust has really been shattered in our district, and it's not the money, because money can be worked out, and it has been worked out for the most part. It's the trust. It's the sense of the district being a safe and reliable place for people to send their children, for our employees to want to work for our district. There is nothing more critical than being trustworthy for the people who work there, for them to believe that their interests are the district's interests. When I first got elected in 2006, I was the first Democrat who'd been elected outside of District 1 in close to 20 years. And it was such an incredible opportunity to come in and discover how good the people were who worked in the district. I was astounded at how committed people were to their work, to all our children, towards creating the best school system they possibly could. It's important we value our employees. It's important we focus on the well-being of our children. It's important that our families trust us and believe that this is the best place for their children to go. There are so many things we can see about what went wrong. The constant churn of both superintendents, CFOs, but school board members as well. And it's one of the reasons why I'm running again. It's because I love this district with all my heart, and I think I have experience that would be very helpful for the new group coming in to be as effective as possible.
Thank you so much. All right, we are going to then go back in reverse order. So we're going to start with Elizabeth, and we'll go back through at large, District 2, and then District 1 with our next question. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat. But the question is, there seems to be a disconnect / frustrations between the central office and the school site staff. What are some steps that you would recommend to bridge that gap? Elizabeth, you have 2 minutes.
Give me 1 sec to read the question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So one of the biggest difficulties that's facing our district is a lack of resources. And when there are a lack of resources, people start to feel very much that they're in competition for those resources. And I think that has been one of the causes of such discontent. The district is indeed doing an overhaul look at central office, at staffing at central office, and seeing if there are jobs that can be eliminated. That survey is going to take place this year quickly. I think probably the biggest driver has been a lack of resources. The other driver has been, and it has concerned me for a while, is that many people have experienced folks from not around here, from outside coming in, having positions of authority and never being really integrated into our community. People who live here are really proud of this being their home. They're deeply invested in it. And I think it's important that anybody who is in a leadership position is actually integrated into our community and our district in a way that feels trustworthy and reliable. I think Tricia, who many people really loved, but always resented that she lived in Florida instead of here, and never felt that she was a part of this community. I think some of the disconnect is actually residual from that. I think it's not a simple issue to solve, but I do think doing a survey of who's in those positions is a really important beginning.
All right, thank you. Rhonda.
Yes, where we need to start is actually communicating and identifying the elephant in the room. Actually speaking with central office staff as well as school-based staff, and them actually acknowledging what the problems are. Because often what we have is central office staff is giving directives but they're not actually in the classroom. They're not actually in the schools dealing with the day to day. Just like book knowledge is one thing, you can have all this book knowledge, but until you actually go into practice and implementation, there's a whole lot more that comes into play. So sometimes school-based staff feel frustrated with the mandates and expectations that are being given to them from central office when they know exactly what it takes to implement, to teach, to deal with situations that are happening in their building. So we need to get back to that communication, that transparency, so they can talk and find where the common line is, because everybody wants the students to succeed ultimately. People want staff to be able to be successful, but they need to know and need to have the independence to be able to manage. Principals need to be able to manage their buildings. The classroom teachers need to be able to manage their classrooms. And until we can get that understanding of what each other's roles are, I think we're going to continue to have that push and pull and with the expectations. So we have to open up those lines of communication. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Kurt.
I forgot the order there real quick. Yeah, I mean, those are all great comments. I think the thing that comes to mind for me is that, riffing off a little bit off of what Elizabeth said, the ideal succession planning would have superintendents be homegrown, right? I mean, if you have people, I think the last, Dr. Hairston from outside, Miss Moore obviously from outside, Dr. Phipps from outside, McManus from outside. There's a years long onboarding process of building relationships and understanding the different constituencies, understanding the physical plant that you have to start from ground zero. So I think that's what I would want to do as a board member, if it's not already done, is we should understand who's on deck, what is the bench of candidates that we have to fill. When we right size central office, we understand who is that C-suite underneath the superintendent. Are we filling those roles that are preparatory roles to become superintendent with people from the schools themselves that have that desire to go into administration? Because I think that we're going to have a lot better result with retention, a lot better result with onboarding, a lot better result with communication, and a feeling that they are of, by, and for us when we do that type of succession planning.
Right. Thank you. Shanita.
Okay, can you read the question again?
Sure.
Thank
So
you.
there seems to be a disconnect/frustrations between the central office and the school site staff. What are some steps that you would recommend to bridge that gap?
Excuse me. The first thing I would do is to have a meeting. You can't know exactly what the person's issue is if you cannot look at them, excuse me, and have a conversation with whatever their issue is. There has to be an understanding. I'm sure that the site people have their own understanding of what they feel they need to do, and the administration feels that they know what they need to do, and they're clashing, and there's a reason why they're clashing. They don't understand. There's no communication. So that would be the very first thing I would do, was to have a communication with this group, and to find out exactly what their issues are and how we can best come to some form of communication of understanding, and then work from there.
All right. Thank you. Daryl.
What an awesome question. I would agree with most of what our other candidates would said, but here is the reality. We need to have clear vision. What do we need for Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system? Where are we going? How are we going to get there? And that needs to start with our superintendent. And when it start with our superintendent, it started with a discussion from our school board. We understand our vision, our clear vision as to where we're going, and it's a united vision. It's just not a vision just for certain schools. It's a vision for all of our schools. And so if we have a complete vision, then we can actually make sure that that vision is played out. When we have complete vision, we can also have complete relationship. We can begin to build relationship with our school base as well as our central office staff, so that we're all on the same page. And we understand all of the challenges, which simply mean we need to have total structure and processes in place that we are following. We can't guesstimate about what we're doing, which also leads to our total clear vision. And we have a total clear vision, and I keep saying the same thing. We have a total clear vision for all schools in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System District. Then we will be able to unite as one. And there will be no separation between district office and school-based staff. One vision, one purpose.
Thank you. Next is Travonia.
Yes. First of all, several of our current board members have requested over a year that we have some kind of organizational audit. And so finally, I can say we have a superintendent who is backing that, and within the year, hopefully we'll have that done. So I think that organizational audit will go a long way in rebuilding the trust within our staffs at the school and our staff that are located at central office. I think that'll go a long way. I also think that serving as a teacher, I experience firsthand how the actual workers that are directly face to face with the students, our thoughts, our ideas are never taken into consideration. So we need to make sure that those people who have that direct daily interaction with our students have input as far as programming, as far as everything that we do within the school system. Then the other thing I think we need to do, there are some advisory committees that have been set up within the last 3 years that I know I've been on the board that we need to continue, but we need to make sure that they have more input. Those advisory committees are the Parent Advisory Group, it's a Buildings and Grounds Advisory Group. We had several times that we met with middle and high school students that came from every school to get their ideas. And there are several things like that. We need to continue that because we have got to get input of not only our staff that are day to day face on with the students, but with our students, with our parents, with our community at large. We have got to get that input. And we can't just ask for the input. We have to react and do what the input is giving us. We've seen several times what we have put out as a system. We have put out some surveys. And when the surveys come back, they say one thing and we go the direct opposite. We have got to communicate and we've got to collaborate and we have to listen.
All right. Thank you so much. Alex.
So, one of the fastest ways a district loses momentum is when central office feels like, or when people in schools feel like central office is kind of having this top-down approach and things feel like more compliance and they feel like that things are being done to them versus supported. That's why a lot of districts don't call central office anymore. They call it central services because the point is to serve. And central office should be a support for school-based employees as opposed to, having any type of sort of negative views or structures. The first thing I think to start with is that listen, like a structured approach to listening and visibility, where, as someone mentioned, central office personnel are actually in schools. We have a lot of central office personnel who are in schools, but it's particularly members of our senior team, not just area superintendents, but all members of our cabinet need to be in schools so that they can see the real world implications of the decisions that they're making. The second thing I think of is that we need to define what support means with clear standards about what that means. So one of the things that's been a really big thing on my list has been having an evaluation instrument that actually measures what central office people are supposed to be doing, because every teacher and every other staff member in schools, they have an evaluation instrument that they have to utilize every single year. It should be the same thing for central office staff. And then also to Board Member Brown Gaither's point, we need to be building joint problem solving teams that are comprised of both central office as well as school-based personnel. And then we need to modernize our processes without weakening oversight. If it takes 5 different people to approve 5 different things, and all you're trying to do is just go to Walmart and pick up something for your children or for a trip or something like that, that's a problem. And then lastly, we need to measure what matters and we need to hold ourselves accountable.
Thank you. Okay, our last candidate on this question, Tremona.
I think this is one of the most beyond amazing questions that I think that I have been asked. As a classroom teacher, we simply want central office to just listen to us. It's like we're working in 2 separate silos instead of just one district. We're not being heard. As teachers, we feel as though we're not being heard. We feel as though we're finding information out at the last minute. We feel like we do not have a voice. We feel like from central office that it's like the big me, the big you, and the little me. We as teachers feel that they don't understand what we are fighting in our schools so that our children can be successful. When you say on-site staff, you're talking about everybody under the roof of a school building that is working with, that is engaged with our scholars. And we know what is best for our scholars because we're with them the majority of their day. So when we have things that we want to talk about and we may send an email and our questions are not answered, when the people are not visible in our schools or visible in our communities, it is hard. It hurts us. As a classroom teacher, I can't say it any plainer. It hurts. And I think the way that we can repair some of that is by building that trust between central office and schools, and not working in separate silos, but working together. There are so many things that can be said about what to do, but the thing is to let teachers have a voice. Let us have a voice and listen to what we're saying because we know what's best for our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. This next question, we will start with Tremona. In District 1, we'll go to District 2 and then at large. The question is, what is one hard decision you believe this board must be willing to make in the next 2 years to set our district up for greater success?
I think that one of the hardest decisions is going to be with the budget, not allowing the budget to be a distraction of what our greater issue is within our schools, and that is our children. I believe that Mrs. Motzinger did say that the budget can be repaired, and we do know that. We know that if we have the right people in place, if we are doing the right things, that is something that we can work towards. But what are we going to do to ensure that our children are receiving the education, receiving the services, are in our schools, that they are flourishing? What are we going to do about our parents who feel that they don't even belong in the schools, or for some reason may feel that they're not welcomed in the schools? What are we going to do for our educators to make our educators want to stay in Forsyth County and teach? We have one of the greatest universities, Winston-Salem State, that puts teachers out every year, graduates teachers every year, and they move away. They don't stay here in Forsyth County to teach. So what can we do to draw them into our county? And what are we going to do with the community to make communities want to have partnerships with Forsyth County? So I know that we have a strain on our budget. And I know that our budget is a great issue. I do know and I understand that. But I think that our greatest thing that we need to focus on is the success of our scholars. What are we going to do as a school board to ensure their success in the future? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Alex. Alex Bohannon. All right, we're going to come back to Alex, and we'll go to Travonia.
Okay, thanks. First of all, I think our community has really rallied behind the school system during this financial crisis that we've had. And I feel that we need to keep on with this. We need to make sure that we keep up this momentum, because when our school system succeeds, the entire community succeeds. So we need to keep up that momentum. We need to make sure that we are doing things in the best interest of all of our students. And whether that is the classes we offer, the opportunities we offer, but we should offer them for everybody. It should not be a certain area of our community that gets more things than others. So first of all, I think the first thing we can do is make sure we keep up the momentum we have and keep up the dialogue we have with our community members. Because again, I say, a system that is successful also leads to a successful community.
All right, thank you so much. Daryl.
I do apologize. What is one decision I believe that this school board must be willing to make for the next 2 years to set a district up for great success? That's an awesome question. And I'll go back to my previous verbiage that I was using a minute ago. We must have a clear vision that is very transparent, have clear vision for where we want to go, clear vision for what we want our scholars to accomplish. When we have clear vision, then our community will rally behind us. And when we're making decisions, it is totally honest decisions that will better serve the whole community. And when we have clear vision, then people that surround us will understand where our Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system is going. We can create programs all we want, but if we don't have the money there to do it, we have to make sure that it's just a dream. We just clearly understand that it's just a dream. And so the decision that we will have to make is making sure that we have a set, strong superintendent that is in place, and he hires a set, strong CFO that is in place. We're going to have to make sure that we make strong decisions in that area, that each child will be able to be successful with a clear vision.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to go to Chinita, and then we'll bring Alex back in.
All right. Excuse me. I truly believe that our school district will have to change our school zones. We're going to have to take a look at how our zones are affecting the schools within our school system. Our zones need to be modernized. We haven't changed our zones since the mid 1990s, and our school system has changed. Our schools have changed, and so we have increased Title I schools in our District 1, and basically they have doubled since 2000. So we really need to take a look at our school zones. We have economic, I won't say enclaves again. I say that a lot, but basically we do. We have social economic enclaves in our school system. So we have some schools that are overpopulated, some schools that are not. And then we're looking at how the resources are being spread because we have these underpopulated schools. But this is coming because of our school zones. So we need to take a look at that so that we can spread our resources and then work on our financing. We're going to have an audit severely, at least quarterly. But the biggest thing that I see that we need to look at right now is how we can modernize our school zones to make sure that all of our schools receive all of the resources that are necessary.
Thank you so much. Alex.
Thank you. So there are a number of hard decisions that the next board is going to have to make, but for the sake of the question, I will stick to our need to right size our district to match enrollment and our financial reality. And so what that's going to mean if our enrollment continues to decline is that we are going to have to take a look at consolidating some programs and in some cases closing or repurposing under-enrolled buildings. And historically, that's something that this district has not really had to do too often. And so it's a tough thing to talk about, and it's a tough thing to do because schools are the heart of the communities in which they sit. These decisions affect family routines, staff stability, student identity, transportation, a bunch of things. But if we refuse to make a strategic decision, we don't avoid harm, we just spread it further across the entire system. That's when you get death by a thousand cuts. You get larger class sizes, fewer electives, fewer counselors, and fewer support staff. You get deferred maintenance, constant churn that makes it hard for principals and teachers to plan and hard for students to succeed. And so we have to do this the right way. And that means we have to make sure that there are clear public criteria for how these decisions are going to be made. People need to be transparent. We need to be transparent with people about building conditions and the utilization of those buildings, access to different programs so that if we have to close a school, then that program can be put elsewhere so that students can still be served. What's the impact on transportation? All of those things. And most importantly, any savings have to be real and they have to be trackable and they have to be redirected into what strengthens outcomes, which is high instruction, high quality instruction, or student supports. I'd rather make one difficult, thoughtful, strategic decision than keep making reactive cuts every budget cycle that slowly erodes the work that we're doing every day.
Thank you so much. Kurt.
Alex gave a great answer, and it was better. My answer was going to be the same answer, but not delivered nearly as eloquently as he just did. So I just agree with that. I think that the board is going to be faced with a financial reality that gives no great option. The only way to correct for that is if we encourage people to send their children to public school. That's the only thing we can do, is reverse the trend of people utilizing opportunity funds. And to do that, I think this election's of critical importance to change the narrative. We need a mix of fresh voices and people who know what's going on so that we can have better management overall while changing the opinion of the district in the minds of many parents, fair and unfair, of the overall nature of the oversight that we have. We need a different opinion writ large of parents who say to themselves, Well, they just don't have their act together. So I'm going to send my children to private school. We can't have that because that is a death spiral for all of us who don't have the option to send our children to private school. We need to change the narrative and do it quick in order to minimize the amount of hard choices that we have to make going forward about the matching capacity with enrollment. Thank you.
Thank you. Rhonda.
Yes, this is the bad part about going later on, one of the last ones or close to the last one. Just about everything has been stated that I was going to say. One of the hardest decisions we're going to have to make is the budget, and not just in reference to the deficit, but the budget as far as looking at how do we fund and how do we have the funds to actually put into our district and make certain every student has the ability to achieve and they have access to resources and opportunities no matter where the school is located, no matter the family makeup, that they have the opportunities. That is just not that you have to go over here to this school in order to receive those opportunities. And when I talk about the budget, I'm also thinking about the fact that we have to make certain, as what was stated, we figure out how do we recruit and retain families in the district, because not only are we're losing families, but it doesn't do us any good to recruit families and then we're still losing them on the back end. So how do we retain our families in this district? So that's going to be open communication. That's going to be that transparency that we keep talking about and actually mean it, not just checking a box, having a meeting and say, oh, we had it, but actually taking the information and using what we can. We have to figure out how we retain our educators in this district. There are a lot of districts around us, and some people are leaving because they're not happy. And so we need to look at what's going on. Why are people unhappy? Why is the work environment not conducive for educators to teach and for children to learn? So thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth.
First, thanks for a really robust discussion and a lot of interesting ideas. I wanted to go back to one of the difficulties around trust, and it's the outside contractors who took on a lot of the most important work in our district. For example, the Code of Conduct should have been a homegrown project with perhaps some outside resources, but an outside contractor should not have taken ownership of something so critical for our district. That has happened over the last several superintendents. And I think that rather than having buy-in from all levels of the district into changes, you hire it out and then implement it, and that doesn't build trust at all. Alex is completely correct that there are going to have to be some very hard decisions. Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools still has a very high portion of market share compared to other districts in North Carolina. But the reality is that with charters and with vouchers, schools cannot take for granted that we will be the first choice for people, and we need to be the first and best choice. Beefing up the magnet programs, by the way, some of our magnet schools are excellent and have really done well by our students, making sure that we have excellent magnet schools for the children and families who choose them is critically important, and has traditionally been one of the reasons why Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools had the highest market share of any urban county in North Carolina. And it's essential we keep people choosing Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools.
All right, thank you. We have one more question, and we're going to keep that at 2 minutes or less. Let's see how brief you all can be. We've been at this for about an hour, and I appreciate your time with it. The question is, and of course, we all know the financial situation with our district is dire, and there have been things that have been done. But as we look forward, I want you to think about what specific financial reports, audits, or metrics would you expect to review regularly as a board member, and how would you know if something doesn't look right? I'm going to pop that in the chat so you can review it. And we're going to start with Elizabeth.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
Obviously, the annual budget is critical, and a great deal of what went wrong with this last bit was that the CFO did not adjust the budget for the realities that he got back. So he never adjusted for the fact that the county commissioners did not give the full amount that was asked for. He left major line items off. So what you need is a good budget on an annual basis. You need to get a sort of monthly, where are we? Just a quick report. This is where we are. This is what we've spent. This is we're on track or we're off track. I think it is always a mistake to be offered something outside of budget season that has a big cost tied to it without a very specific, if this was not budgeted for, then how are you paying for it? And what are you cutting to make that possible? Budget season is the year. It's not. And so I think one of the great difficulties was that the board kept being presented new ideas, new projects, new things that had a cost to it. When they asked, do we have the money to pay for it? They were quite honestly lied to. And I think it's important to remember they were deliberately misled by a CFO, and that they did ask those questions. I am afraid that our state auditor is not as competent as we might suppose. Because I have asked some questions about it to my Republican friends who will say to me, he's a bad auditor and he's not quite clear about what he's saying. So I think it's important that we get our annual audit and pay attention to it.
Thank you. Rhonda.
Yes. What was already said, we need to look at the annual audit, and we need to, on a monthly basis, at least on a monthly basis, have a report giving us an update on where we are with the spending. And anytime we have an audit and recommendations are made, we need to make certain that we see and we get reports back on where we are with making those corrections. Not just that, okay, they're made and nothing else happens from there. So we need to have that follow through. And as a board member, I would want to see that. I want to see what corrections have we made as a recommendation from the audit that was given. So we looking at the annual budget, make certain that we're staying within our budget and not having these last minute out of budget season requests that don't have money for those. So we have to make certain that we live within the budgeted funds for that school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Kurt.
Yeah, this is my profession. This is why I'm running. I think I bring a unique background to be able to dive in on this topic specifically. I mean, what was already said is correct, right? I mean, you need at least monthly summary of receipts and disbursements, and you need to go a level beyond that to understand, the source of your receipts. Most of the variation there is enrollment based. So we need to know on a monthly basis what is our enrollment, how is it changing, and do the receipts that we're getting from the state match the enrollment changes, because we want to have that increase and we want to leave no dollar undelivered to our district. And so I would not take it for granted that we are getting what we ought to get. We need to validate that and do it with frequency. Yeah, so that's what I would look for, and I would just trust that, you know, I have this as part of my professional training as a master's in business administration. I'm gonna know if something looks off, and we're not gonna let it skate by. Any sort of incomplete answers or answers that seem like they don't match the reality will be chased to their full understanding if I'm elected.
All right, thank you. Chinita.
Basically, I agree what has been said. With what has been said, we need to take account of what the state is giving us and what county commissioners are giving us with the changing that's going on right now in our student population. It's declined. And so we can't have the exact same budget, but the money that we do have, how are we spending it? How is it aligning with the programs that we have, with the students that we have? How are we using that? We should have uh, monthly reports concerning this. And I still believe we need to have audits more than a year. It either twice a year or quarterly, but we need to keep um, a specific count on the funds that we do have and how they're being allocated and how the students are being helped with the funding that we have.
Thank you. Daryl.
It's an awesome question. I agree with what most of them have said. First of all, we need to make sure we have a set budget. And once we have a set budget and a clear, distinct set budget, we need to have monthly updates on that particular budget. Understanding that our enrollment is declining. It's not only in our district, it's declining all over the state. As I make financial decisions in my household, I always reduce by a certain amount. And so we need to make sure that when we look and setting a budget, we have to make sure that we're reducing in some areas, regardless whether we have or have not. And so I will be looking directly at the number of our students that we say we have in our schools that will line up with our budget and make sure that those yearly audits, that we're not just looking at them and throwing to the side, that we are making the changes necessary that need to be made. You'll know if there is a rat in the house somewhere because you have a set budget and you're looking at that and knowing also that you have the potential of declining of enrollment. And so we have to have a sharp eye on the budget and sharp eye on what's really going on.
All right, thank you. Travonia.
Yes. First of all, I expect the board to first have input to review and also approve the budget. That's the first thing. So the budget is the first part of it. Secondly, we need to have a monthly look at the audit to ensure that we are on track and that we're looking at an audit committee, an outside audit committee that will work closely with the audit firm. So we need to look at that and make sure that's running effectively. The board has to review all expenses and expenditures monthly during our finance committee meetings. And we must do that on a monthly basis because that's how often our finance committee does meet. Also, our board, in knowing that the district is on track, we need to know if we're on track or if with our audit and we need to make any corrections with our budget, things like that. We need to look at that continuously because there are some cases where we might need to look at it. And then I'm not talking about major additions, major subtractions, but we need to look at the budget to make sure we are on target and we're doing what we need to do. So we need to look at it on a monthly basis, and we need to make sure our finance chair is very aware of what is happening, even within the month when we're not meeting as a board, that what's going on financially. And we have got to get a chief financial officer in place. It's been extremely difficult. That's one of the first things we've got to get in place, but that is done by the superintendent. The superintendent actually hires the CFO, and we are having some problems with that. But that's what I feel the board needs to do.
Thank you. Alex.
So, from my perspective, I expect to review a predictable set of financial reports, both on a monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. And, some of these things are things that you can only review on an annual basis, like an audit. Some of them you can do every month, like Board Member Brown Gaither just mentioned. But I'll talk about specifics. So monthly, we need to be looking at budget to actuals report with encumbrances. We need to also be looking at a year-end forecast, cash balance sheets. We need to be looking at our grant status report. The reason why is because we get grants all throughout the year for all different types of amounts. And so we need to make sure that we're keeping a closer eye on that, because that actually is an area that was overspent. Our previous CFO spent in the restricted grant area when that shouldn't have been the case. And then we also need to look at our purchasing and contract spend summary, sort of how much are we spending on contracts. We also need to look at contracts that are below the threshold for board approval, because the superintendent has the ability to enter into contracts below $100,000 without board approval. So we need to keep tabs on that. Quarterly, I think we need to look at trend reports to compare those from previous years so that we can make sure we're in line. And annually, of course, we have our independent external audit that we always do that helps us keep tabs on our whole year outlook. And then the last part of the question was, how do you know if something doesn't look right? You have to look for red flags in the forecasts. You have to look at budget comparisons year over year. If there are a bunch of different budget transfers, things like that, those are things that you pick up on, because that means that certain parts of the budget were overspent. And if something doesn't feel right, you have to ask the tough questions and ask for the detail behind those variances.
All right, thank you. Tremona.
Yes, so thank you. After we are looking at our financial reports and our audits and the metrics, monthly, annually, and yearly, then what are our next steps going to be? I say that because where there is smoke, there is probably going to be a fire. So before the fire starts, what are we going to do as board members? When we receive our audits, when we receive our financial reports, if something does not look right, are we going to ignore it? Are we going to not say anything because we are even afraid to speak up? That is something that I think possibly, if it has been done, we don't need to do in our future. When we see the smoke, or like Alex said, the red flags with our reports, we're going to have to say something. We're going to have to know immediately when it does not look right. And also, along with the district budget, with the school's budgets, each school has a budget. And at the beginning of the year, the principals and the SIT team, they decide how their money is going to be spent, whether it's a Title I school or it's a non-Title I school. And I think even having reports from schools to know where their money is being allotted is something that the board needs to know, or even needs to be involved in. A lot of schools, well, speaking of our school, will have money left over at the end of the school year, money that we have to spend. We try to spend this money on items for our scholars that are going back into our classroom. But if we spend the money up front the correct way, as the board will do in the future, because I believe in this board that's going to be for Forsyth County, I believe that it will do what's right, and we'll see the smoke and there will be no fire. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Right. We are at the end of our questions and our forum. I want to thank each one of you for stepping up to serve your community and for running a race that you all could be very, very proud of. This will be loaded up into YouTube and displayed on our homepage. And I just want to wish you a good evening, and that's it. Good night.
Thank you so much for
Good
having
night.
me.